Hi, I'm Paul McGuire, and again from Malibu, California, the West Coast. Kind of a foggy day, but the Pacific Ocean is behind me. I want to talk about a number of very important things. I believe they're important to me and important to you. I want to talk about information overload on the internet, and when you're looking at the internet and you're looking at information sources via the media, whether it's AM, FM, the internet, social media, whatever, television, how do you make the determination that what you're viewing and hearing is accurate information, that the person giving it is a credible source? How do you discern the difference between getting credible information and propaganda? How do you make those determinations? And I'll tell you why I want to talk about this. For those of you that are just joining me, my name is Paul McGuire, by the way. And if you want to know about my background, which people always seem to, what is your background? Why are you qualified to say what you want to say? Well, you can go to paulmcguire.org and look at my bio. I'm the author of 22 books, and I've done a considerable amount of media on History Channel specials, Fox News Network, feature films, and you can look at the whole bio on the website, paulmcguire.org. People come up to me all the time, and they talk to me about an individual or a news source, and I'm endlessly kind of shocked that people believe some of the things that they believe, and that they look at certain people as credible when they're not credible. And it's amazing to me how gullible people are. And I'll put people, I'll refrain from putting people into categories, but I'll get down to what I mean. First of all, let's talk about what I call the old media, or the dinosaur media. Now, if you want to email me, you can do so at newmediavoice@aol.com. I selected that, 20 years ago, New Media Voice as a email address, because what I do is part of the new media. Now, let's talk about the old media for a moment. CBS, NBC, ABC, Washington Post, New York Times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The massive media conglomerate. Not to mention the numerous blog sites, foundations, and organizations that are funded by billionaires, billionaire activist political groups that are really internet hitmen to tear down people who are giving out legitimate information, but they hide behind a blogger. And that's fine, because I believe in freedom of the press, but is the information accurate or not? So let's take something that's been in the news recently. The meeting of the Bilderberg Group in Chantilly, Virginia. Now, the Bilderberg Group meets annually, and as many of you know, the attendees of the Bilderberg Group are presidents, vice presidents, the heads of the major, most powerful media networks in the world, the heads of big banking investment concerns like Goldman Sachs and the Federal Reserve banks, and the world's most powerful international elite descend upon the Bilderberg Group. That in and of itself makes it newsworthy. If they were only going there to play checkers, which they're not, unless of course they're playing checkers on a black and white checkerboard, which would mean Masonic symbolism. That's a side note. But they're not going there to play checkers. And but if they were, that would be a news event because of who's there. So in the recent news, I was looking at what I would call some alternative news sources, and they were all covering the Bilderberg Group. Now, that is honest. To cover one of the most powerful gatherings in the world, that is honest in the sense that journalistic integrity requires that you do it. And conversely, I had my computer there, and then I was watching television, and the word Bilderberg Group or the Bilderberg meeting did not come up once on all these conservative talk shows. And so the question has to be asked, are those conservative talk shows reliable sources of information? Well, in some areas they are, but in some areas they're not. Because if you're censoring out the existence of the Bilderberg Group, you are probably owned by the interests of the Bilderberg Group. The Bilderberg Group is not a conspiracy theory. I've been writing about it for years in my books and in my DVDs. They exist. So to not cover the Bilderberg Group reveals that you have a hidden agenda, and that agenda is not to communicate the truth. Okay, so that's one thing that we can make a measurement. When there's a noticeable news event that is worthy of coverage and it's being deliberately ignored, the media sources that are ignoring the legitimate news story are no longer credible. And it doesn't matter whether the masses of Americans are locked into that mindset. They're not. The masses aren't credible either, because they've surrendered their minds to an Orwellian Big Brother media system. Okay, we want truth. See, Jesus Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." A lot of Christians, evangelical Christians in America, they think that Jesus was just talking about spiritual truth. Well, Jesus never compartmentalized the world. So for like Jesus, the world was not like a big apple pie with slices. One slice is spiritual, and one slice is political, and one slice is economic. Jesus didn't divide the world into pie slices. It's just one pie. It's called reality in the world. So to Jesus, if you're talking about economic truth, or political truth, or sociological truth, or sexual truth, or historical truth, that's truth. So when Jesus Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free," he was talking about truth as a whole, not just artificially sliced up spiritual truth. Most Christians don't get that, and they don't understand that Jesus Christ is Lord of all of life, not just the spiritual world. As such, they become ineffective, and they've marginalized themselves from being salt and light in the culture. So we need to have understanding of economic truth. And what I'm about to say is really kind of with sadness. I was watching the National Day of Prayer in Washington, D.C. on television. And I know many of the leaders in the National Day of Prayer personally, and I've supported it personally for many, many years. And I continue to support it. I prayed along with the people praying, because I believe prayer is the greatest hope for America or whatever nation you live in. But when I heard the speakers speak, I kept hearing them say, "We don't understand why we're here. We don't understand what happened." And when I heard that, and I don't mean to be unkind or condescending, there's no excuse whatsoever for saying, "I don't understand how we got here, and I don't understand what happened." There's no excuse for that at all. And I'm going to get into that more in a moment. You can go to my website, get more information. Knowledge is power. The truth shall set you free. I'm Paul McGuire at paulmcguire.org. Hi, I'm Paul McGuire from Malibu, California, the West Coast. And I'm talking about truth and the power of truth, and how do you determine truth in an internet and media saturation. First of all, when we look at the landscape of the internet and media, we're all overwhelmed with information. There's so much information. But it's important to understand that in the multidimensional landscape of the internet, there's a lot of disinformation, there's a lot of false information, there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of rumor that is deliberately inserted into the matrix of planetary and national consciousness. People, organizations are deliberately funded to insert false information into the matrix. And it bothers me when I talk to people who I assume that they're intelligent. Some of them are Christians, and they should have the Holy Spirit inside them. And the Holy Spirit's like a compass that leads your inner man or woman to the truth, because the Holy Spirit resonates kind of like cosmic radar when you see truth. See, so for example, if you're watching a politician and your spirit is grieved, that's the Holy Spirit inside you communicating to you at a deeper level than your intellect. So, because you see, your intellect can be hypnotized or brainwashed, but the Holy Spirit inside you, if it's grieving, the Holy Spirit is communicating to you on a spiritual level, something that your intellect may not grasp, and you need to pay attention to what the Holy Spirit's saying to you. So back to this National Day of Prayer, which I support and I continue to support. All these people were getting up there and saying, we don't understand what has happened to our country. And I must say, again, and I don't want to be condescending or judgmental, but there's no excuse for that.